I didn't plan on opening a box I couldn't close again. I thought I was going to a goofy baby shower where adults threw cotton balls at each other and argued about diaper brands. The last thing I expected was to hold a white envelope that would light a match under my entire life. I'm Marcus. I'm 32. For the past 3 years, I'd been the steady one in our group. Steady job, steady rent, and what I thought was a steady relationship with my girlfriend Leah. She loved to joke that I was her human seatbelt. I kept her from flying through the windshield when life made sudden stops. She was whirlwind bright, knife-sharp eyeliner, bossy playlists, the kind of laugh that filled restaurants and made other tables turn. We had plans that sounded like grown-up promises. A condo by the river, a black Labrador named Pax, kids someday, not now. I had a ring in my sock drawer. I loved her, and I trusted her the way you trust your own hands not to drop what matters. 2 months ago, Leah's best friend, Kayla, invited us to her baby shower. Kayla's fiancé, Dean, was there too, unashamedly awkward amidst pastel balloons. It was co-ed, which meant there were dudes balancing paper plates on their knees and trying not to look threatening near tiny booties hung like prayer flags. The narration should feel like a confession, intimate, raw, and authentic. Then someone handed out party favors in white envelopes stamped with gold baby feet. "Open it home," Kayla chirped, cheeks flushed. "Just a surprise." We tucked them into our coat pockets and forgot them until later that night. Leah fell asleep halfway through a true crime documentary, face lit by the glow of a murderer's booking photo. I stayed up, scrolling. The envelope fell from my jacket when I hung it on the chair. I picked it up, curious, and slid my finger under the flap. Inside was a glossy card with a scratch-off panel and a note. "Play our game. One of you will find a surprise DNA kit coupon from Scanshore, because parenting is full of surprises, right?" There was also a QR code and a little silver coin. I snorted. "Lamest game ever," I whispered to nobody. Still, I scratched. Under the silver dust, instead of "You won a coupon," I read, "You've been selected for an exclusive Scanshore trial. Free paternity testing is included with your code." I stared at it. Paternity testing for a baby shower. It felt like a joke that tripped over itself and cracked its teeth. I left it on the coffee table and went to bed. The next morning, Leah was up early, hair in a messy bun, humming as she made coffee. She spotted the card and went still. "What's that?" she asked, voice light, a touch too light. "It was in Kayla's envelope," I said, shrugging. "A weird coupon." She took the card delicately, as if it might bite. Kayla's a marketing ferret. She's always partnering with random companies. Throw it out." She slid it into the junk drawer, then kissed my cheek and talked about brunch. But in that kiss, there was a hitch, a breath caught on a hook. That was the first splinter. A week later, Kayla texted me. Not our group chat, just me. "Hey Marcus, did you guys get those Scanshare cards? We're doing this silly who would be whose dad game on Instagram. Send us pics. Lol." Lol. Sat there like a nail in a tire. I played along, sent a picture of me as a kid with missing front teeth. But when I asked Leah later, why would Kayla text me about the Scanshare thing, she shrugged, too fast. She group texted everyone. She didn't, I said. She texted me. Leah's eyes were so blue when she was angry. Babe, I'm in the middle of a deadline. That was the second splinter. The third was the date. I'd been pulling together receipts from my accountant and scrolled back through my calendar. The Saturday Leah called a girls' cabin trip in late winter, 3 months before Kayla's bump made its first appearance, lined up with a gap in Leah and my intimacy. We'd been fighting then. She'd said I worked too much, I said she partied too much. We'd met in the middle with cold pizza and a silent movie. But when I counted back, the math made a shape I didn't like. It overshadowed our present, like a hand over a candle. That night, on the couch, I tried to patch the rising panic with reason. Leah, I began, keeping my voice even. Why did you throw away the ScanSure card? It had a code. She looked at me with a quiet that wasn't her. Because it was tacky. It was also paternity. Which is none of your business, she snapped. Then she recoiled at her own words, as if she'd spilled hot coffee. I mean, in general, it's stupid. Something brittle snapped inside me. Is there something you need to tell me? She stood, arms crossed, a soldier with a chest of ribbons. You either trust me or you don't, Marcus. I am so tired of every conversation turning into an interrogation. Trust me or leave. There it was, the line. She dragged it between us and dared me over it. Trust me or leave. I nodded, like my head was on someone else's shoulders. Okay. But once you notice a crack in a glass, you see it every time you take a sip. I started to notice other things. The silence when her phone lit up with a name saved as a city, Philly, Boston. The way she guarded her texts like a sparrow over a single egg. The weekend trips that multiplied like rabbits. I told myself I was jealous. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself 1,000 small, kind lies and tripped over each one. One evening, Dean called. This is going to sound random, he said, clearing his throat. Is Leah around? No, she's at Pilates, I said, with the quotes audible. Kayla's freaking out, he continued. She tried to be cute with those ScanSure cards, partnered through some influencer thing. She sent a few with a trial code, and one was meant for Leah. She told me she wanted to prank you, like to prove you were paranoid and that you'd take the bait. But then she chickened out. Now it's a whole thing. I think Leah got mad at Kayla for sending it at all. What do you mean by meant for Leah? My voice had gone very calm, the way water looks still before you realize it's a photograph of a waterfall. She said Leah was stressed about a test, a real one. I don't know, I'm probably saying too much. No, I said. You've said just enough. I hung up and sat in the dark living room, phone warm in my hand, memories running like a tape. The winter cabin, the dates, the new secrecy. There was a test she didn't want me to see, a test that looked like a joke in a gold-stamped envelope. I went to the junk drawer. The card was gone. I ordered a ScanSure kit myself. I told no one. The company sent 2 sterile swabs, 2 barcoded vials, return packaging, and an app sign-in. It felt illicit, a spy kit delivered to a middle-class address. Leah was away that weekend. Girls' brunch turned day trip. I stood in our bathroom, swabbed my cheek, and sealed the tube. I didn't even know what I was testing against. There was no child in my life to match DNA to. But ScanSure also lets you load existing results to check for paternal probability. It was a long shot, a shot in the dark, a shot at something true. 4 days later, my app pinged. You have a result pending confirmation. My hands shook as I entered the code. The screen filled with words I barely processed until the end. The tested male is excluded as the biological father. I backed into a chair. Excluded? Not a father? My brain rifled through a file cabinet and knocked folders to the floor. What father? Whose father? Which test? I scrolled, breath stuttering, and found a shared result in the app. Someone had linked an anonymous child file to my profile. It had been sent to my email through a masked link. An error? Or intention? The child's birth date put conception squarely in that winter gap. The narration stilled. I saw the whole ugly outline without the details. Leah had registered for a test. She'd used my email or the shared link by mistake. Or Kayla had. Either way, an answer had arrived, and it was a no. The front door opened. Leah swept in with shopping bags and a tone like sunshine. I got us those candles you like, ocean something. Hey, why do you look like someone died? Sit, I said. My voice sounded like another man's, low, flat. She slowly put down the bags. What's going on? I showed her the app, the linked test, the date. She stared at the screen like it was a foreign alphabet. For a second, I saw calculation, a flurry behind her eyes. Then she exhaled, the air leaving her like a punctured balloon. It's not what you think, she said. Then try me, I replied. The narration, she sat, folded in on herself, then unfolded, spine straight. Fine. It was one night. I was angry. You made me feel like furniture. I went to the cabin, and there were people, and there was someone. Then I was late. I panicked. I did a test because I didn't want to put you through the roller coaster if it wasn't yours. If it wasn't mine? I repeated, tasting metal. And if it had been mine? Her eyes filled and didn't spill. Then I would have told you. I swear. Trust me or leave, I said softly. She winced. I said that because you were hounding me about nothing. It wasn't nothing. For a full minute, we listened to our quiet apartment make its small noises, the refrigerator humming, the heat kicking, the street muffled beyond the window. Leah took my hand, and I let her. I don't want to lose you, she said. I messed up. I did one stupid, terrified thing to avoid hurting you, and ended up hurting you worse. It's over with him. It's been over. Please. I thought about the ring in my sock drawer. I thought about that Labrador, about 2 kids in Halloween costumes, about how trust isn't a switch you flip back on. It's a wall you rebuild brick by brick in the rain. My jaw ached from clenching. Who knows? I asked. Just Kayla. she said quickly. She helped me get the test. I should have told you. I know. I was afraid you'd leave. Fear and guilt make the ugliest twins, I said. They dress alike and borrow each other's lies. She laughed, a broken little sound. What do we do now? We. The word landed like a plea. Here's what we don't do, I said. We don't turn this into a public bonfire. I'm not going to torch you on social media or expose you to your family. I won't make a spectacle. I won't be your secret either. She flinched. Marcus. I'm leaving, I said, calm again. That dangerous lake. Not tonight, but soon. I'll give you the dignity you didn't give me. A clean break. No screaming, no scavenger hunt of my stuff. You can keep the ocean candles. Tears finally spilled. Please, we can fix this. Maybe you can, I said, but not with me. I need a life where trust isn't a dare. I packed the next day while Leah was at work. I left a note on the kitchen counter, next to the ScanSure envelope I'd kept, the one with the neat barcodes and the little sterile swab wrapper. My note said what my mouth couldn't without splintering further, that I loved her, once in the way you love your first successful dive, lungs burning and water roaring, that I hoped she'd ache less over time, that I would too, and that I didn't hate her, not even a little. That was the worst part. Hate might have been easier to carry. In the weeks after, the group chat flickered with speculation, then restraint. Kayla reached out. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I told her to focus on her baby and her fiancé and to please stop sending people coupons that could break bones. Dean took me out for a beer and didn't ask questions. Leah texted once, a long message that said she'd started therapy, that she was sorry, that she understood. I stared at it until the words unglued. I didn't expose her. Not because I'm noble, because I wanted this scar to be tidy, if such a thing exists. My pride wanted to howl about betrayal. My heart wanted to crawl back to the familiar couch. I chose a third thing. Quiet. Sometimes, on early runs along the river, I imagined the life I'd planned, like a movie set. Convincing from the right angle, hollow from behind. I pictured that envelope with the gold baby feet, how a party favor turned into a trapdoor. Maybe trust is less about never falling and more about knowing someone will catch you when you do. Maybe trust me or leave isn't a choice. It's a confession dressed as an ultimatum. People ask me now, gently, the way you ask after a wound that's still wet, how are you? I say, better, and it's true, in increments. I haven't thrown away the ring. I'm not sentimental about it. I just haven't decided whether to sell it or repurpose it into something less circular, less forever. Maybe a pendant. Maybe a reminder that love and truth are not synonyms, but they should at least be neighbors. I learned this. Denial is addictive because it lets you stay. But staying for the sake of not leaving is a quiet way to vanish. I left, and I didn't vanish. I'm here. I'm building again, brick by brick, this time under a clear sky. If someone asks me to trust them now, I won't be scared to say yes. I'll just make sure they don't hand me an envelope with a surprise inside.